Dark Angel, only on 3.
The main stories in the news tonight: search and seize. The Scorpions swoop on a car scam. Rocking the Mid-East, 6 Palestinians on Israel's most wanted list killed in an explosion. And never again, top clubs urge fans to buy tickets early to avoid another Ellis Park. It's 8 o'clock. A very good evening to you and welcome. In our top story, the Scorpions swooped on a West Rand scam that tried to pass rebuilt wrecks as clean second-hand cars. More car dealers are now being investigated following the raid on the assets of Roderick Marbert, who is in jail facing charges of fraud and corruption totaling about 6 million rand.
Armed with a court order, the asset forfeiture unit moved in to secure property belonging to 25-year-old Roderick Marbert. He was arrested last month and faces 268 charges of fraud and 218 charges of corruption.
Mr. Mabel was a management consultant working for Fishers and Associates, and they are in turn employed by the Department of Transport to look into their National Traffic Information System. And then he was able to enter into the system and alt cars and make alterations on cars that were on Code 3. Code 3 are cars that have been rebuilt, and he changed them unlawfully into Code 2, which are cars which are your normal second-hand cars. And that meant that it inflated the car by 50 to 30%.
Apparently, Marbert got between 700 and 1,000 rand for each car paper that he allegedly tampered with. The forfeiture unit seized what they could. Marbert's house in Florida on the West Rand worth about 200,000 rand. His 50% stake in a cell phone dealership at this shopping center. This is likely to prove quite complicated to monitor.
We've arrived at a working relationship with the other 50% owner on how the business will be operated from here on out, to make sure that the assets of his 50% interest remains and that it grows.
The unit is still looking for 4 luxury cars. Now, the investigation is set to widen to many other second-hand car dealers who are believed to have made money from the registration scam. Riaz Patel, SABC, Roodepoort.
Meanwhile, the new head of the Special Investigating Unit, Willie Hofmeyr, says he wants tougher laws against corruption.
Willie Hofmeyr wants to plug the loopholes that allow people to collect millions of rand without having to account for how it was obtained. At present, law enforcers find it difficult to convict people for corruption.
We should look very seriously at this Hong Kong anti-corruption law, which essentially makes it a criminal offence for government officials to be in possession of unexplained wealth.
Hofmeyr does not think his political background will be a hindrance in his new job.
I'm really very passionate about the issue of corruption. I think that it is one of the most serious problems facing our country.
Hofmeyr plans to carry out 105 asset seizures involving about 150 million rand this financial year. The Assets Forfeiture Unit has seized assets worth close to 250 million rand since its inception. Matau Mutua, SABC, Pretoria.
No one can set the agenda for next month's World Conference on Racism in Durban. That's the government's response to U.S. threats to boycott the conference if the issues of Zionism and reparations for slavery are discussed.
The threat came while the final preparatory meeting for the World Conference on Racism is taking place in Geneva. The United States has boycotted 2 other conferences over the Zionism issue. Dlamini Zuma says South Africa is only hosting the conference and that the agenda will be decided by all the participants. She says it would be unfortunate if some countries, notably the United States, boycotted the conference.
When the situation is what it is on the ground in the Middle East, it would be very difficult not to talk about the Middle East at that conference. It's just not possible.
Earlier today, Zuma met her counterpart from Equatorial Guinea, Santiago Nzobei Efuman. The two discussed a whole range of issues, including trade and diplomatic relations. Efuman also announced that his government would open a mission in South Africa. He also expressed his views on slavery and racism.
We consider that slavery
was a crime against humanity. And that is true. I think it is not strange that if I can say that this is the understanding of my government about this question.
Despite these threats by the U.S., Dlamini Zuma is optimistic that the conference will be successful and that all countries will participate and find some solutions. Isaac Masemola, SABC, Pretoria.
It was a day of intense conflict in the Middle East. There was an explosion in the West Bank this morning, a bomb blast in Jerusalem at lunchtime, and an Israeli air raid over the Gaza Strip this afternoon.
The helicopter gunship raid was aimed at a weapons factory inside a Palestinian police station. The Israelis say 230 mortar shells have been fired on Israeli settlements since the beginning of the uprising last year. Several Palestinians were injured in this afternoon's attack. Earlier this afternoon, at lunchtime, a bomb went off in a supermarket in Jerusalem, but no one was killed or injured. It followed an early morning explosion in the West Bank. 6 Palestinian militants were killed, all believed to have been on Israel's most wanted list. Israel says it was not involved in the blast and that it may have been caused by a failed attempt to arm a bomb.
Typhoon Toraji has wreaked havoc in Taiwan, killing at least 32 people and leaving about 100 missing. Toraji smashed into the east and south of the country last night, triggering the worst mudslides and floods in 50 years. Hundreds of homes and thousands of acres of farmland have been destroyed. Many international flights have been cancelled or postponed. Toraji has now weakened into tropical storm and is expected to hit the north and northwest parts of Taiwan by noon tomorrow. The murder trial has begun of the 20-year-old youth accused of shooting his parents and their domestic worker in a killing that shocked the nation. Kevin Pizarro, who spent some time in the Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital for observation and therapy, appeared in the Johannesburg High Court today.
The Pizarro family was in court to hear details of June 21st last year. The nation was shocked by the multiple murder of a family. Edward Pizarro and his wife Eugene were shot in a Randburg house north of Johannesburg. Their 62-year-old domestic servant, Kirisaleti Tumiso, helped raise the alleged killer. Now their son, Kevin Pizarro, is charged with 3 counts of murder. He was arrested the following day in Durban while driving in the family BMW with the help of a tracking device. Today, the first witness to take the stand was key witness Aubrey Pierce, a neighbor who told the court that he saw the accused leaving his parents' property after he heard shots and saw Pizarro carrying a gun. He also said he went to the house and saw the bodies lying on a bed. He also told the court he had arguments in the house before the shooting. The trial continues tomorrow. Mwentlengeni Dipoko, SABC, Johannesburg.
For the first time in South African legal history, a court has ruled that 2 prosecutors can cross-examine the accused. The ruling was made in the Pretoria High Court trial of chemical warfare expert Dr. Wouter Basson. Gillian de Gavea reports.
In a legal first, Basson will have to face 2 state prosecutors under cross-examination. Earlier, Basson's legal team argued it would be unfair for their client to be treated differently. But state prosecutors argued the trial consists of 2 components which need to be handled separately. Anton Ackerman will now question Basson on the fraud charges, while Tweri Pretorius will deal with the murder and drug-related counts. Judge Willie Hartzenberg says his decision could prevent further delays in the already 22-month-old trial, but the state's victory is conditional. Both prosecutors have to be present during the entire cross-examination. A prosecutor may not pose further questions once his cross-examination is completed. The state team also has to decide who will question Basson on aspects which overlap. This afternoon, Dr. Basson completed his evidence in chief. He's denied supplying apartheid operatives with deadly substances earmarked for use on so-called apartheid government enemies. He denies supplying operatives with a monkey's fetus, which was hung in Archbishop Desmond Tutu's garden. He's also dismissed claims by the state that he defrauded his apartheid masters of millions. Dr. Basson has also pleaded not guilty on the drug counts. Gillian de Gavea, SABC, Pretoria.
Pagat member Faisal Vahi has been identified by a police officer as the man who hurled a pipe bomb into the Lansdowne charge office in January of 1998. Sergeant Wayne Lake was testifying at the trial of Vahi and Ishmael Edwards in the Wynberg Regional Court.
Sergeant Wayne Lake told of his dramatic escape inside Lansdowne Police Station in 1998. A plastic bag was hurled at him. He noticed sparks and ran. 3 policemen took cover in the station as the pipe bomb exploded. They emerged through a haze of blue smoke and went in search of the culprits. The police saw 2 men walking down a road nearby. One of them was identified as Pagat member Faisal Vahi. The 2 ran off but were arrested. Chantal Presence, SABC, Cape Town.
Last year, Telkom gave millions of people a new way to say hello. This year, expect a little more from us.
This Tuesday on Special Assignment, fighting for breath after years on the mine.
The truth is, in South Africa, you can kill and maim workers with impunity. You can throw them out, you can discard them like dirt.
No jobs, no health, no one to turn to. Special Assignment, Tuesday at 9:30 on SABC 3. Also available on Newsbreak.
With your news team on 3. Public servants from the rank of director upwards will soon have to declare their financial interests outside government.
Plans are afoot to improve links between 13 government agencies which probe corruption. Senior public servants will also come under closer scrutiny.
We are intending that everyone from director level and upwards has to disclose.
Government is moving to shut the door on senior government officials and politicians who resign from the public service only to be rehired as consultants. In a bid to avoid a controversy similar to that dogging the arms deal, close watch will be kept on state officials who negotiate big government business. Meanwhile, the Public Service and Administration Minister wouldn't be drawn on developments around the public sector wage negotiations. But talks are scheduled to resume on August the 6th. Anna-Marie van Bierik, SABC, Pretoria.
A toll-free 24-hour AIDS helpline has gone into operation. The service is a joint venture between the Health Department, Lifeline, and the American Agency for International Development, otherwise known as USAID.
The state-of-the-art National Helpline Service will provide counseling, information and referral service in all 11 languages. The service has 25 centers throughout the country.
The core principles underpinning the helpline are that it allows for dialogue between the individuals and the informed counselors, and that this dialogue indeed has a very positive impact.
Counselors at the center occasionally receive calls from people feeling suicidal after learning of their HIV status. 39% of the callers are from young people between the ages of 15 to 19 years.
Of the people that call the line, 60% of them are young men. The average age of our callers is between 20 to 29. In fact, 45% of our calls are for people aged 20 to 29.
U.S. aid also helped to make the project a success.
We provided about $300,000, or about almost 2.5 million rand, and brought technical assistance from Johns Hopkins University from the United States to help expand the outreach.
The upgraded center receives a minimum of 19,000 calls a day. Chaviso Serema, SABC, Johannesburg.
The Bapeding tribe is fighting to regain their land and mineral rights taken by the former apartheid government. Their land claim resumed in Randburg today.
The Bapeding tribe came from Lemawe near Potchefstroom in the northwest. They settled on this land about 140 years ago. Today the tribe's claiming back the land, which they say was taken away from them in 1971.
Why we are here today is the main reason. We want the land back.
But 6 out of 8 farmers are refusing to let go of the land. They say the tribe was compensated at the time the land was taken away. Only 2 farmers are prepared to sell.
We have also maintained from the outset that just and equitable compensation was paid to the tribe at the time of dispossession in the form of compensatory land as well as monetary compensation.
The case continues tomorrow.
Saudi Arabia has stepped in to feed South Africa's flood victims. Some members of the KTC community on the Cape Flats have been homeless since last month's heavy rains.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia decided to donate food to the flood victims after worldwide news coverage showed the appalling situation on the Cape Flats following heavy downpours a few weeks ago. About 150 bags were handed out in KTC this morning to 93 families who have to leave their shack homes because of the flooding. This is only the beginning of a year's donations to the poor and disadvantaged in the Greater Cape Town area.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has agreed to give every month for the next 12 months a similar amount of 2 tons of milli meal, which they will donate, and which will not only be given to disaster areas, but general upliftment in creches, in old age homes, wherever people are vulnerable. And we will be looking at how to distribute that over the next 12 months.
I feel very happy about that, because we're suffering a lot there, because our shack is in water. But I said thank you to the people who brought us the maize meal, because it's something there for the children and for us.
I'm feeling right, because special people, I get a mealie, but I'm feeling right, much better.
Several other welfare and community organizations have already come to the aid of local flood victims. Sarah Menges, SABC, Cape Town.
On to market news, and the JSE Securities Exchange finished firmer buoyed by gains in mining stocks and IT giant Data. The rand was softer against the dollar today due to the debt problem in Argentina. $1 bought R8.22, while the local currency was trading at R11.72 to the pound. The euro is worth R7.19. The All Share Index ended 1% higher, and gold is trading at $265.25 a fine ounce. To the world of sports now. Soccer giants Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs have pledged to sell tickets early for their BP Top 8 fixtures in a bid to avoid the kind of last-minute crush that caused the Ellis Park disaster. The PSL has supported the move.
Following the Ellis Park disaster in April this year, the PSL is now trying to inculcate a culture of buying tickets before match day. Tickets for the BP Top 8 matches involving Pirates and Chiefs are already available at ticket web outlets. With the successful staging of the Charity Cup on Saturday, the PSL has again encouraged supporters to buy their tickets early.
What we are happy about is the extension of our slogan, the ticket essential. And as we did the last time as football lovers, let's continue to make sure that we go to the stadiums with tickets in our hands.
A campaign has been launched by clubs and the league to educate supporters about stadium security.
We will then educate people, get involved in a dialogue with supporters about stadium security, pre-sale of tickets, the whole culture of punctuality at games.
Pirates host SuperSport United on Saturday, and Free State Stars are at home to Sundowns on Sunday. The following week, Chiefs tackle Ria Stars on Saturday and Santos visit Jomo Cosmos on Sunday. Both matches take place in Rustenburg in the Northwest Province. Biso Ramaram, SABC, Johannesburg.
A confrontation is looming between United Cricket Board's Executive Committee member, Dr. Mthutuzela Nyoka, and its President, Percy Son, ahead of Saturday's annual general meeting. Dr. Nyoka has hit back at Son after he made allegations of corruption against him.
The outspoken Nyoka says he's not happy with the way Son made the allegations of corruption against him. The allegations center around the awarding of publishing rights for the 2003 World Cup. Nyoka has reportedly argued that they should be given to publications owned by the black empowerment groups, but he has financial interest in some of them. Nyoka maintains he has nothing to hide, but fears that Son may use his powers as head of the elite police unit, the Scorpions, to investigate him.
What I'm doing now is to actually send out an invitation to Mr. Son to come out publicly in the open and repeat these allegations about my corruption. But what I also want the South African public to know is why Mr. Son is trying to tarnish my name. Mr. Son sees me as a threat to his position.
Nyoka says he had asked the UCB General Counsel to investigate the allegations about a month ago. But until now, nothing has been done.
I do feel I have been let down by my own organization. But this is maybe yet another opportunity for them to reopen this issue and let it be investigated in a transparent fashion so that at the end of the day, the truth can come out.
Nyoka also claims Son made insulting remarks about Sports Minister Ngwanda Balfour in their last executive meeting. Son was unavailable for comment. Moabi Diteko, SABC, Johannesburg.
Zimbabwe scored their highest innings for 10 years, leaving the West Indies needing a colossal 348 to win. Their score of 563 for 9 was 19 runs better than their previous record of 544 for 4, declared against Pakistan in 1995. The West Indies were 42 for 1 in reply. 17-year-old Zimbabwean schoolboy Hamilton Mazakadza was the star of the home side's total with 119 on his debut. And finally, a 6-month-old elephant orphan called Sweet Sally is the latest arrival at Daphne Sheldrick's elephant orphanage in Kenya. She lost her mother during an elephant relocation operation in Eastern Africa.
Sweet Sally was airlifted to the orphanage in Nairobi. She was weak and traumatized. It'll take her about 3 months to grieve the loss of her mother. She is refusing to feed on the special milk formula that all the other orphans are given. But she drinks a lot of water because she's dehydrated. And after just a few days, Sally is getting along with the other elephants she shares her new home with. Orphanage staff are going to have to do their best to encourage Sweet Sally not to give up.
What a heartwarming story, and that's how we come to the end of the 8 o'clock news bulletin for this evening. Enjoy the rest of it. Good night.
My dream started in the dusty streets of Everton, selling a mattress to my farm. I was believing that one day I would make a difference. And that day came. I started selling Coca-Cola products. After some time, they helped me buy that stuff. And I started my own business. Today, several wholesalers, hawkers and buyers rely on me. What? And every day when I go home, I'm proud to put food on the table.
At Coca-Cola, we have thousands of businesses every day.
Harm is sent to Russia to help update an outdated legal system. He uncovers massive corruption.
Fighting the church is key to churches. Just don't shoot holes in any courtroom settings.
Find it somewhere else. A dark link to the past and a terrible secret.
They're going to try to take us up close.
Can he endure this awesome exchange of firepower? Gad, Saturday at 8:30.
Take it everywhere. Show it everything. Please. Golly.
Having a new partner could open a few doors.
So someone you don't know breaks down the door and throws you and your possessions out of the window. Does this happen often in the business?
All the time.
Mike, he knows it's me, right? I'm never going to be fine anywhere. No, it won't, right? You made me do this, Bob. You said it'd be all right.
Liverpool 1, starting on 3, Saturday at 9:30.
Very good evening to you. Time for a brief look at the weather. Sunny and fine conditions over the central and western parts today, as we see from our satellite. Fairly strong winds over the western interior. Onshore flow into the northeastern parts of the country. We still have this high about 500 kilometres to east of Durban, pushing moisture into that northeastern region. So partly cloudy to cloudy with some light rain there. Hot, dry and windy conditions with the possibility of runaway veld fires over the southwestern Cape Coast. So do take care if you're living or travelling in that region. Rainfall for tonight confined to the northeastern area in the form of drizzle from northern Natal up into the northeastern Highveld and into the escarpment regions at a very similar pattern for tomorrow. Just drizzle curving around into the Pittsburgh area. It's advection from the east and west maritime area. Cold over the interior tonight. Temperatures well below 5 degrees in many places. Mild around the coast, and the maximum temperatures tomorrow still very cold over the eastern high-lying ground. We go as low as 14 degrees at Ermelo, 17 at Bloemfontein and at Bethlehem. Warm on the east coast and very hot on the west and south coasts as a result of the offshore flow from that high which is sweeping in from the east. So we have sunny conditions with strong winds over the western interior and partly cloudy to cloudy in the northeast. Lots of fog on the northeastern escarpment tomorrow and adjacent regions. We have sunny conditions on Wednesday over the interior of the country, becoming quite warm. Another cold front moving into the Cape. Partly cloudy conditions there, fairly strong northerly winds. Partly cloudy to cloudy in the northeast once again. And then on Thursday, sunny conditions over most of the country. A little bit of cloud in the southwest and fog there, and a little bit of rain in the northern parts of the country and over Zimbabwe and Mozambique. Do have a good evening.